the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Hunter, for that fervent prayer. I almost thought you were going to preach. Bless you. Okay. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have it call the roll. Clerk, please.
Councilmember Archibald?
Here.
Councilmember Huron?
Here.
Councilmember Lamb?
Here.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Here.
Councilmember Payton?
Here.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Here.
Mayor Ashford?
Present. Council members, you have before you minutes of the City Council regular meeting on February 24th. Do I hear a motion? So moved.
Support.
Moved by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald and supported by Councilmember Pemberton. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Huron?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Payton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. Next on our agenda, we have a presentation by none other than our wonderful museum team over here. And if you would kindly come forward.
Good evening, everyone. I'm a resident of the city of Marysville. However, I work and volunteer in Port Huron, so I'm happy to be here tonight. And thank you for allowing us to be here to present to you Mayor Ashford, council members, and City Manager James Freed, who I understand it's your birthday?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Well, happy belated birthday. Anyway, so the reason that we're here today is we want to talk to you a little bit about our free admission results for the last few years. We certainly appreciate your support in those endeavors, and we look forward to continuing that along with other community partners as well as our donors. So on behalf of our Board of Trustees and employees, we have quite a museum section here tonight. We certainly thank you for all of those things, as well as the needed repairs and things that happen on the sites that are owned by the city. Okay. So before Veronica gives you a brief explanation of some things we have going on, I want to tell you that on May 1st, put that in your planner, except Mayor Pro Tem Archibald. I know you're busy that day, but fear not, we have something else you can do. We're going to be celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Carnegie Center, as well as our Pilot House digital experience opening. For those of you that have not driven the freighter recently, you might want to practice up on your skills, because it's not quite so easy. Right? And so beyond that, we're going to be arranging a trolley tour for all of you when the weather is a little bit nicer, so that you can see firsthand the accomplishments and some of the great things that we've been up to. So thank you again, and Veronica.
I'm Veronica Campbell, Executive Director of the Port Huron Museums. In 2024 alone, over 65,800 visitors visited our 4 sites. Nearly 50,000 of those visitors were from outside the St. Clair County area, making it clear that the museum is a tourist destination that literally surrounds downtown Port Huron. The Carnegie Museum held 9 rotating exhibits throughout this past year, and we've adopted a new model of hosting our major exhibit from April through September. A great example of this was last year's major exhibit, the Barbie exhibit. We saw incredible success with our Barbie exhibit, which brought in nearly 7,000 visitors to the Carnegie Museum during the 6 months that it was open. Looking ahead, we're thrilled about our upcoming nature exhibit, which is in partnership with the Friends of the St. Clair River. Blue Water Green Spaces. It will run April 4th through September 28th. Beyond exhibits, we've been making strides in major restoration projects that honor and protect our community's history. Thanks to the support from our community and partners, we have successfully completed 4 major projects. The D.B. Harrington locomotive, which has been an ongoing project for over 30 years, has been beautifully restored and is now a centerpiece for our community on display at the Wrigley Center in downtown Port Huron. The Fort Gratiot Post Hospital, also ongoing for over 30 years, is now an incredible testament to the stories of Fort Gratiot's unique medical and military history. The Cammer Cabin Preservation Project has completed Phase 1, and we've actually just secured the finances to complete Phase 2 and final phase. This project preserves an essential part of our local history and provides an immersive experience that brings early settler life to our school field trips in a tangible and meaningful way. And finally, our highly anticipated updated Pilot House has been completed. The Pilot House permanent exhibit has received technology upgrades to be an immersive and interactive experience where visitors can actually steer a freighter up the St. Clair River. This new exhibit features our community's maritime heritage, fully restored and ready to inspire future generations. The Port Huron Museum will continue its mission to preserve and illuminate the history and culture for the benefit of our community. Mayor Ashford and council members, thank you for your time tonight, and thank you for the city's partnership and support in all that we do.
Veronica, thank you so much. I would just like to add that to the team over there, you do really a very fantastic job, in what you do, and you all are very, well-skilled and equipped to be where you are, and especially promoting that great history that we have here in the city of Port Huron. So we appreciate you very much. Okay, next on our agenda, we have public hearings, and as you see from your agendas, we have a total of 8. So we're going to proceed. I think this is probably historic. This is the first time we ever had these many public hearings. So just be calm, and if you are here for a public hearing, just step up to the mic and give us your input. So I will have the clerk read the first one.
To hear comments on the proposed Michigan Department of Natural Resources Recreation Passport Fund grant application in an amount of up to $150,000 to assist with the development and improvements at Knox Field and Park. Following the hearing, council will consider a resolution to authorize the submission of the grant application, and if grant funds are awarded, authorize the acceptance of the offer and provide for the required local funding match.
Public hearing is now officially open. Is there anyone wishing to address public hearing number 1?
Good evening. Ken Harris, 1521 Wells Street, Port Huron, Michigan. Being these number 8 items, the first are all under public hearing, I understand that there's a competitive rate. We're talking almost $12 million of spending by this council in the next several years. And I just, as you go through these, I wish you could let the public know how competitive these requests are, what do we expect to gain out of it, and that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
To piggyback a little bit on what Mr. Harris said, I did the math in the back there, and it looks like it's $9,950,000 in total spending between the eight items there. Not one of them lists exactly what is going to be done for improvements, if it is, which would be nice to know as the public. My other question is given the constraints of not being able to come up with some funds to do other projects along the way, do we actually have half to match those grants if that is the parameter, and what is the parameter for matching the grants as far as funds? If we hit all of these and it's half, that means we got to come up with $4,975,000 on our end, and if it's a complete grant match, that means it's $9,950,000 again, almost $10 million. So, just a kind of a question: what is happening here, and then where is this money going? And if by chance, and I understand the odds of knocking them all might be a moonshot, we'll say, but if we do we actually have the money to match all these funds? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone else wishing to come before the council on public hearing number 1? Hearing and seeing none, public hearing number 1 closed. Next.
Resolution.
Oh, the resolution. Followed up. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Councilmember Pemberton and supported by Councilmember Mosrat. Okay. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing, discussion?
No discussion, sorry.
Oh, okay. All right, so hearing none, I will call for the roll.
Councilmember Huron.
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb.
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak.
Yes.
Councilmember Payton.
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton.
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald.
Yes.
Mayor Ashford.
Yes. Number 2, please.
To hear comments on the proposed Michigan Department of Natural Resources Trust Fund grant application in an amount of up to $250,000 to assist with developments and improvements at Knox Field and Park. Following the hearing, council will consider a resolution to authorize the submission of the grant application, and if grant funds are awarded, authorize the acceptance of the offer and provide for the required local funding match.
Public hearing number 2 is open. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address public hearing number 2? Hearing and seeing none, I will now entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay, it's moved by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald. Is there a second?
Support.
Supported by Councilmember Lamb. Any discussion?
Mayor Ashford?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was
You
just
go
going,
first.
thank you. I actually, before we list and go through all of them, I guess, can we get a little commentary on what was brought up at first as far as if we did hit all these, or kind of give us some context of, like he said, a moonshot, but a little.
Yeah, the vast majority of the spending.
Oh, excuse me. Okay. Are you finished yet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The vast majority of the funds is actually congressionally delegated appropriations of $6.5 million for the repair of the Black River Canal. Another large request is $2.2 million for a brand-new aerial ladder truck for our fire department. The match on that is $250,000, and the match on the other one is $500,000. So we have to buy the aerial ladder truck no matter what. So if we don't get this grant, we have to figure out how we're going to spend $2 million.
Thank you.
And all the capital plans that are, for all the grants, the developments in our Parks and Recreation Master Plan that people can go online and download as well. The improvements are outlined there. It also allows us to do community engagement, to ask what kind of improvements people want in the parks before it happens during the design phase. A lot of this is offsetting liabilities we would otherwise have to purchase. For instance, at Lakeside Beach, the playground structure there is becoming certainly unsafe in the next 2 years. We'll have to replace it. This will help offset that cost.
Thank you.
All set?
Mayor Ashford, that was my question, but I'm just going to ask for a follow-up on that. It looks like the first 6 of these are all for parks? Mm-hmm. Did I hear you say that money is already set aside?
Yeah, the match portion will be in our budget, yes.
The match portion is already set aside and waiting for
Yes.
this. And what would we be doing with it if we don't do this?
Investing, we're able to do more with the grants, but we're still going to have to go back and repair the parks, these different park activities. So this just helps us get it done sooner rather than having to wait 2 or 3 years.
And I obviously understand why we'd want the Black River Canal and all of that fixed, so no questions there. Thank you.
Yeah, just clarification. Sorry.
Excuse me. Direct the chair and I'll acknowledge you.
Madam Mayor, may I?
Yes, you may.
So basically what you're saying is this is all bonuses. In other words, we've already built in for our half. If we get it, it will just help us, correct?
Madam Mayor, may I respond?
Yes.
Yes, but for folks to know, we do have a $500,000 Parks and Recreation millage that generates about $600,000 a year. We're able to use the $600,000 a year that you pay in your $500,000 for Parks and Recreation and leverage that with DNR grants and other nonprofit grants. That's why we've been able to do millions and millions of dollars within our park system, because we've taken your millage money and used it as match for larger grants.
Thank you. That answers you, okay. And it's no guarantee that we get the grants, right? We have to.
Correct, it's very competitive.
Okay, before we start talking about it, and all of the grants are with a local match.
Yes,
Okay, and you're saying that we do have the local match already intact,
yes,
but we can't count on the
Correct.
grant. And so what we're doing here tonight, ladies and gentlemen, this is a process. So this butts up to the grants and the local match. So I don't think one without the other, you have to have a grant in order to kick in on the hearing thing, what it's asking for on each one of them. And just like the city manager said, that regardless, in the case of the fire, the ladder, we have to actually do that anyway. So just make sure that we're all clear on that. So it's just a process that we're following.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Just when it comes like the aerial ladder truck, just a point of example, a fire engine was about $400,000 a couple of years ago. Now you're approaching almost $1 million. The latest fire truck we bought was in the $600,000 range. An aerial ladder truck about 10 years ago was about 1.5 to 1.7 million. It's now $1 million more. And so when we look at our long-term financial planning, we're always looking at our assets, the depreciation, the replacement schedule, and how we're going to be able to pay for it.
Oh, okay.
Those are just a lot of the challenges we're having right now.
Oh, okay. And what fire station is this one going to? Or?
This would probably be at Station 3.
Station 3? Okay. Station 3. Okay, any more discussion before we continue? Okay, hearing none, seeing none, let me continue.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Peyton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. Okay, now we will move on to public hearing number 3.
To hear comments on the proposed Michigan Department of Natural Resources Recreation Passport Fund grant application in an amount of up to $150,000 to assist with development and improvements at Lakeside Park. Following the hearing, council will consider a resolution to authorize the submission of the grant application, and if grant funds are awarded, authorize the acceptance of the offer and provide for the required local funding match.
Okay, we have heard the reading. Public hearing number 3 open. Is there anyone that would like to address public hearing number 3? Hearing and seeing none, we will follow with, is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Councilmember
Support.
Mosrak. Second by...
Support.
Okay. Second by Councilmember Lamb. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Peyton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes, motion carried. Public hearing number 4.
To hear comments on the proposed Michigan Department of Natural Resources Trust Fund grant application in an amount of up to $250,000 to assist with development and improvements at Lakeside Park. Following the hearing, council will consider a resolution to authorize the submission of the grant application, and if grant funds are awarded, authorize the acceptance of the offer and provide for the required local funding match.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Councilmember Pemberton, supported by Councilmember Lamb. Any discussion?
Excuse me, Mayor Ashford, we didn't call for public hearing.
Oh, shoot, I sure did. I'm going so fast trying to get out of here. And that's what they want to call it. Does she know what she's doing? Yeah, I know I'm doing, just missed it. Okay, so, public hearing number 4, open. Anybody wishing to say anything? Come to the mic on number 4. Okay, hearing and seeing none. I believe it was Councilmember Pemberton and second by Councilmember Lamb. And it was no discussion, I take it. And I want to thank you during the discussion for bringing it to my attention. That's what we're here for as a team. So we're all in this together. So, roll call.
Councilmember Peyton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. Public hearing number 5.
To hear comments on the proposed Michigan Department of Natural Resources Recreation Passport Fund grant application in an amount of up to $150,000 to assist with the development and improvements at Sanborn Park. Following the hearing, council will consider a resolution to authorize the submission of the grant application, and if grant funds are awarded, authorize the acceptance of the offer, and provide for the required local funding match.
Okay, is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Pemberton, is there a second?
Support.
Supported by Councilmember Mosrak. Any discussion on that?
Public hearing.
Oh,
That's okay.
sorry. I don't know why I keep doing that.
It's because there's so many.
There's too many.
No, it's over, oh, okay. Public hearing number 5 officially open. Is there anyone wishing to address public hearing number 5? Hearing and seeing none, we've already got a motion and we got a second, and we're in discussion. Oh, you.
Okay.
You just rolled down out of the thunder. Okay,
I
who's
did.
there?
Trey Smith, Cleveland Avenue. So I have a question about these particular grants. 6 of these grants are coming from the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Trust Fund. My question is, I know there's a guru on the council who is a genius at grant writing. I wanted to know, Archibald, what's the likelihood of the success of getting these particular grants? I see that normally they come from anywhere about $15,000 to about $400,000 of availability, and they normally are funded through owned oil, gas, and mineral rights. And so normally they're about redeveloping each particular part. So does this also go back to what Mr. Freed has been talking about a lot, that we no longer chase jobs, we chase workers? Will this provide some temporary opportunities for people to work, maybe even working in the process to write and assist in acquiring these particular grants? Because again, these are state level grants, and it might be a great opportunity to train up some individuals who might find some opportunity in learning about how to do these and make these things happen and make them available for their local community, since the only people that can apply for them are our local government. And so, and it said specifically the different units, and so there might be a lot of different things that could be dealt with and done within these grants, possibly. I don't know. I know, Mr. Freed, you're so smart, you're gonna answer every question anyway. Like, can we do the roads around the park? Is that possible? Does that, if there are roads leading to the park, is that something that we can look and consider? Are there ways in which we can finagle that, write that, make that a part of that? And I'm asking that simply because it seems to be vague and I just barely looked at it. However, being such a guru and so successful in writing, I'm looking at maybe innovative ways in which we can find some of our these shortcomings and figure out how to fix them. But then also, have we thought about going to some of our more affluent individuals and figuring out, hey, if we don't get these particular grants, would you be willing to cover these particular outreaches? Because sometimes there are some people that see the need and say, hey, you went for this, but if you don't get it, maybe we may be willing to make it happen. Because there's a reason why these particular parts and these things were actually chosen. So maybe this is something we can look into, and I'd be interested to hear if this is something that's possible.
Excuse me, okay, well, we don't go back and forth during this time, but we will take it under advisement. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to come before the council? And we did take note of that, right? Okay, thank you. Hearing and seeing none, we will take the,
So moved.
Mayor Ashford, if I may?
oh, you, go
Do you
ahead.
mind if I comment?
Mhm.
I am all for, putting money into our parks. My only concern is that one of the things it states on here is to include a permanent restroom, when I've actually been approached by citizens that have stated that they would like to see a permanent restroom in the south side.
Oh, okay.
And that it was not possible because of how would it be maintained. So I am wondering how it is that this is going to be implemented in Sanborn Park when the south side has been neglected for many years, and why can't we put some of the money towards that in the south side? And also that the scenic turnout, we've had many people come and explain that they want to see that become more ADA compliant for the Fisher people that are there. So I'd like to see some more of the money put into the south side. And I also know that the pool at Sanborn, because I used to go there a lot as a kid, there's been a lot of money put into that pool as well, and they seem to have to keep coming back to that issue. But I'm just wondering if we could better use the money for the south side right now, or is that even possible? Does it work that way?
Well, we're just focusing on this one public hearing that was
Okay.
trivial, that, and you kind of went into some other
I
areas
did.
there. Okay.
I did, but I'm wondering why it states that you could put a permanent restroom there, but not on the south side.
Madam Mayor,
Okay, yes, Manager.
this is a partnership with SC4.
Okay.
They would help maintain and operate the facilities there, so we're looking at upgrading the ball fields, ADA accessibility issues to the road, building a permanent bathroom there, because they have their that's the SC4 stadium there for the baseball team. It seems hundreds and hundreds of people, so we want to make sure we address the parking and those issues. So this would be a partnership with SC4, and any structure that would be built there would have an operating agreement with SC4.
Okay.
So it's a collaborative.
Correct. We couldn't do it on our own. We couldn't maintain it on our own.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, any more discussion?
Mayor Ashford, I think it's also worth noting that of the 6 park resolutions, 2 are for the south side, 2 are for mid at Sanborn, and 2 are at the north end for Lakeside. So it is pretty well dispersed.
Madam Mayor, if I could as well.
Yes, Councilman.
Got a promotion.
Promoted him already. Okay.
He's got to get
I would note as well that when we got our Parks Recreation millage passed, the first parks we tackled were in South Park. So Knox Field got a brand new splash pad, playground structure, pavilion. South Park got a brand new playground structure as well, and that was about a $300,000 structure, the James C. Atchison Playground. Optimus Park received a $500,000 playground structure. So the vast majority of parks in the south end have all been completely remodeled. So that's where the first part of the money went. So the bulk share of the $4 million was in the south end.
And that was a Spark grant, I believe?
There was a whole host of grant
Local.
funding and the Community Foundation, the Ralph C. Wilson Foundation.
Oh, okay. And I think to Councilmember Payton's point, is not so much how much we did or south or east or the west. I think it goes more to the need. You got to think of the need that always said, and the need and the timing, and it hasn't been there. I think that's the point you were trying to make. Is that correct?
It is correct. I just thought there were some double standards with the permanent restroom, and there is a need on the south side for that, especially with many of the festivals that they have there.
Okay,
So-
that's why I took the liberty of
Thank you.
stretching that for you. You're welcome. Okay, any more discussion on public hearing number 5? Okay, hearing none, roll call.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Payton?
No.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. Okay, now we're, public hearing number 6, please.
To hear comments on the proposed Michigan Department of Natural Resources Trust Fund grant application in an amount of up to $250,000 to assist with the development and improvements at Sanborn Park. Following the hearing, council will consider a resolution to authorize the submission of the grant application, and if grant funds are awarded, authorize the acceptance of the offer and provide for the required local funding match.
Public hearing number 6 is open. Is there anyone wishing to come before us and speak about anything on it? Hearing and seeing none. Public hearing number 6 closed. Roll call. Is there a motion
So
to
moved.
move that? So moved by Mayor Pro Tem.
Support?
And supported by Councilmember Lamb. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Payton?
No.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. Public hearing number 7.
To hear comments on the proposed fiscal year 2026 congressionally directed spending appropriations program grant application in an amount of up to $2,250,000 to purchase an aerial tower fire apparatus to provide life-saving response and disaster mitigation measures to the city of Port Huron and surrounding communities. Following the hearing, council will consider a resolution to authorize the submission of the grant application, and if grant funds are awarded, authorize the acceptance of the offer and provide for the required local funding match.
Public hearing number 7 is open. Is there anyone sitting out in the audience wishing to address this? Come on down.
So we definitely need a new fire truck, there's no question about that. I urge all of you to vote yes for this one. And probably some of you may have thought of it, some of you may not have. And maybe even push a little further at the next meeting and reach out to the supplier and get a price lock in for what's happening. Even if we don't get the grant, let's be on the hook for the full amount of whatever, because most of you may not know, Mr. Freed probably knows this, most of the fire equipment's built in Canada, okay? Most of our fire engines are built in Canada, all the rest of it. That means if, unfortunately, no matter how anybody feels in this building, if we implement our tariffs on Canada and they implement 25% back, we could be on the hook for 25% more of the cost of this fire truck. 25% more of 2.5 million is a whole lot of money. So vote yes, and if we need this equipment, let's get it bought ASAP. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else? Okay, hearing and seeing none, public hearing number 7 closed. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Councilmember Mosrak and supported by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald. Okay, roll call please.
Councilmember Haremza.
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb.
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak.
Yes.
Councilmember Payton.
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton.
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald.
Yes.
Mayor Ashford.
Yes. Our last public hearing, number 8.
To hear comments on the proposed fiscal year 2026 congressionally directed spending appropriations program grant application in an amount of up to $6,500,000 regarding the necessary renovations and stabilization of the Black River Canal to reduce or mitigate risk from natural hazards, disasters, flooding, erosion, and watershed protection. Following the hearing, council will consider a resolution to authorize the submission of the grant application, and if grant funds are awarded, authorize the acceptance of the offer and provide for the required local funding match.
Public hearing number 8 is open. Do we have anyone in the audience that would like to address us?
First of all, I'd like to, Scott Farquhar, 1039 Water Street, also known out there as self-proclaimed mayor of Black River. I'd like to congratulate whoever found this grant, and I'm sure it'll go through, but I urge you all to vote yes on it. The importance of that canal, it's not only for boating. I know one of you for sure live on Black River, but we all see Black River and the debacle that has happened with the canal and what it's done to Black River as far as the water flow. Mosquitoes were bad last year. The water was extremely dirty. A lot of money is brought in by the people that come from out of town. We've done some great things in this town to promote it. Water levels down, having that canal finished. And I understand it's a thorn in the side, but this grant is very, very important. And I urge you and I urge all of the citizens to do whatever they can to make this go through. Thank you.
Thank you.
So without the Black River Canal, we're not really separated from very many other cities in Michigan as far as our draw, right? We lose our boating, we lose our kayak tourism draw, we lose a lot of what brings tourism and people to downtown and into the Blue Water area. We would basically just become another community on the water that has a little bit of public beach access, and that would be it. At the end of the day, I think it's great that we're finding, some federal funding for this. I think somewhere down the line, given the fact that we are a Michigan, Parks and Rec loop with the island watershed, that the state of Michigan's probably on the hook here somewhere for a little bit of money too. But this gets the ball rolling, and we know that no matter who likes the words or not, Webster's dictionary says we are under and subinsured for that piece of property. So other people have a bigger thesaurus in their brains and they can use other words, but you look up the definition and that's what it is at the end of the day, like it or not. So whether our insurance company would give us the money or not, that's just the ball everybody plays with insurance on any level. So the fact that we're not able to get all the money and this helps substantially with that's great. And the fact that if this doesn't happen, our other options are pretty much to fill it in, and I promise it's going to cost more than $500,000 to do that. So, at the end of the day, this is our best out right now. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Farquhar. Is there anyone else wishing to address public hearing number 8? Hearing and seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
So moved by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald and supported by Councilmember Lamb. Is there any discussion on it?
Mayor Ashford,
Yes.
do we know what the time frame is for the feed, or when we might know if we're getting the grant?
I would assume sometime October,
Long
around
time.
October.
October.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
if I may. So can we just articulate then how this, we're proposing for the state for that funding versus what this would be? Can you give a little context to that?
I've put in the identical, Madam Mayor, if I can, I put in an identical request to the state of Michigan through their appropriations process as well. So you'll probably have to do something very similar to this in another week for the state appropriations. And the reason why is I'm just asking everyone for money. Hopefully one gives it to us. I mean, it's, to be candid with you. Any opportunity we can swing at, we will.
All set? Any more discussion? Okay, hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Peyton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. So it ends our public hearing segment. Now we are going to go to our public comments. If anyone in the audience wishes to address the city council on any agenda item or any matter under the city's jurisdiction, now is the time to do so. You are allotted 1 4-minute opportunity to make your comments, and please begin by first stating your name and your address.
I'm still Scott Farquhar, still live at 1039 Water Street, and I am still the self-proclaimed mayor of Black River. First of all, I'd like to thank Mayor and all the council members for taking your time to do a good job. It's kind of a thankless job, and I understand that. I'd also like to comment, Mr. Freed and his staff this winter did a pretty darn good job keeping our roads safe. We had pretty good snow and ice and what have you. I'll report on Black River. The ice is melting. It's moving. It actually started about 45 minutes ago going by my house, which I live right at 10th and Water. With that, so is the garbage, and that's why I'm here. Last year, the city offered staff, 3 men, a couple pieces of equipment for the Black River cleanup, and we talked last year that we'd like to do that as an annual thing. I am also the past Commodore of the Black River Boat Club. We started it last year and we kind of spearheaded it, and we had some sponsors and a whole lot of help from one of your council members, Conrad, and I was hoping that maybe in one of your closed door sessions you could relive it and see if we can count on your support again this year. I believe it's very important. We've been holding off on the dates to set it to see what would work for Mr. Freed's staff or the parks, or I don't know where they pull the equipment out of, which department, whether it was cemetery or Bancroft, but we've started to try and organize it, and I just wanted to give you a heads up, and Conrad, if you reach out to me or whatever, and again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Another Farquhar, Rachel, 19th Ave. Good evening, members of council, Mayor Ashford, Mr. Freed. I'd like to start by sharing a call to action from the Secretary of Agriculture, who has recently urged Americans to consider raising backyard chickens. Even President Trump addressed this in his latest national address, encouraging local food production as a way to increase sustainability and reduce dependency on external supply chains. In fact, there's a bill currently making its way through the state legislature that, if passed, will allow for the raising of up to 5 chickens on a quarter-acre lot right here in Michigan. Cities like Grand Rapids, Ypsilanti, and Ann Arbor, and others more like ours, like Muskegon, as Mr. Freed shared with me tonight, have already embraced this idea. And it's time that Port Huron follows suit. Relaxing our city ordinance to allow residents to raise hens would bring several benefits to our community. Not only would it support self-sustainability, something that is increasingly important in today's world, but it would also directly help address the growing egg shortage that has impacted families across our country. The ability to raise hens would allow residents to have a reliable local source of fresh eggs, all while reducing the carbon footprint associated with transporting eggs from elsewhere. I understand there may be concerns regarding the management of chickens in urban settings, and I want to assure you that these concerns can be addressed responsibly. Myself and 3 other community members are committed to sitting on a committee to oversee this effort, and we would be available to follow up on any complaints related to the care of chickens. We would work closely with the St. Clair County Humane Society Director to ensure that chickens are well cared for and to make sure that any issues that arise are dealt with swiftly and efficiently. Noise complaints, of course, are a concern for many, but I'd like to point out that hens are relatively quiet compared to other animals, and you are more likely to hear a flock of geese flying around town. There will be no roosters under the proposed guidelines, ensuring that noise would not be an issue. Noise complaints would be handled just as any other noise complaint would be, but I believe that this would be a minimal concern overall. Finally, having a clear procedure in place for the raising of hens within the city limits will benefit both the residents and the city itself. It will give people the opportunity to become more self-sufficient while also contributing to the local economy in a positive way. Thank you for your time, and I hope you'll consider joining the growing number of cities across Michigan and the U.S. in making backyard chickens a reality for Port Huron.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hoffman.
Good evening, Ken Harris, Port Huron, Michigan, 1521 Wells Street. First thing I'd like to talk about is what's on the agenda tonight. Under payments for passage of the 19 payments tonight, if you go and click on the city website, you'll find out on payments, we have overcharges or charge changes of $82,750 for Walker Contracting, Tetra Tech, two expenditures of $8,500. The Tainter Gate come in at $278,895.69, and the union contractor, which kind of baffles me because I don't think they're union, but they're doing the 16th Street Park, and it's already spent over $111,000 overcharges. And not last, but under the third thing I got here is resolution number 3. I think to entertain anybody, I think we should basically not support resolution number 3, because number 1, it takes away business from other bars that are just there and around the corner. It takes away parking space from Chef Shell's, and it's going to hurt those businesses more than it's going to benefit the city. And on a little bit of levity, and I run across an extremely neat article, and I just try to read it here. I'm not very good at this, but I'll try this. Over 1,000 years ago, Moses said to the children of Israel, "Pick up your shovels, mount your asses and camels, and I will lead you to the promised land." Nearly 75 years ago, when welfare was introduced, Roosevelt said, "Lay down your shovels, sit on your asses, and light up a camel. This is the promised land." Today, in today's government, The government has stolen your shovel, taxed your asses, raised the price of camels, and mortgaged the promised land. I was so damn depressed last night that thinking about health care, the economy, the wars, lost jobs, savings, Social Security, retirement funds, etc. I called the suicide hotline. They said to press number 1. I was connected to a center in Pakistan. I told them I was suicidal. They got excited and asked if I could drive a truck. Thank you.
Good evening, John Lusk, Atkins Road. It's my pleasure to be here with my fellow board members and the wonderful staff at the museum, and they're great people to work with, and I appreciate your support of them. It's always a wonder to go there and hear the great things that they are doing. I'm also a trustee at SC4, and when I talked to President Kramer today that I was coming to the council meeting to show support, he said, well, why don't you tell him a couple things? And I said, I will. So one bit of business, one bit of news for the council and for the public here today is the college is putting $50,000 toward the cost of removing Stone Street. This is some business I understand we're probably going to take up on Thursday when we have our board meeting. We need a new entrance in the parking lot, and this will be an enhancement, of course, for the students and the staff and faculty. So that was one thing President Kramer asked me to convey. The bigger bit of news, in my opinion, is that this press release I have in my hand went out to our media outlets, and some people haven't heard about this. So SC4 has awarded Kevin Toddy Sr. the 2024 Alum of the Year to honor the life and work he has invested in the Port Huron community. So we're honoring Mr. Toddy, Pastor Toddy, and this Thursday at 3:30 at the Welcome Center at the college, there will be a reception, and the Toddy family will be there, and we'll have a reception for about an hour from 3:30 to 4:30 this Thursday, the 13th, at the College Welcome Center. All are welcome. It'll be a worthwhile thing to do to honor the man and pay respects to his family. So these are the two bits of news that I've been asked to convey, and I think they're both wonderful bits of news for the council and for the public. So I hope to see everybody there. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Sorry, I need bifocals now. I'm almost 60. So, good evening, Mayor Ashford,
Good evening.
council members, and Manager James Freed. My name is Veronica Steele from 2712 Military Street. And I'm here because I need your help with a situation that's causing my family a significant financial hardship, and it may be affecting other Port residents as well. And it has to do with the way the property maintenance ordinance was improperly adopted, which means when residents have a building code violation under the International Property Maintenance Act, it's actually improper for that to go to the local construction board of appeals or the Administrative Hearings Bureau. It would have to go straight to circuit court. So let me tell you kind of how this sort of is personally affecting our situation. And, you know, Mr. Freed's been involved from the very beginning, and last March, former Mayor Rep asked him to get involved, but he's never gotten back to us on that. So in November of 2023, the Chief Building Inspector, Jalecki, he revoked our rental permits because an inspector saw a second kitchen. Our home was built in 1913. But we had a written agreement from the previous Chief Building Inspector, Shagina, that kitchen was not an issue. We didn't have to remove it, even though we have probably more kitchens than we need. But since then, we've been trying to navigate the city's appeal process, and it seems to be set up in a way that prevents any meaningful review. So let me kind of backtrack to how this happened. We were first directed to the Construction Board of Appeals, which took almost a year. They actually dismissed most of the building code violations as invalid, but then made zoning decisions despite lacking jurisdiction to do so. And even your own planning director, David Haynes, pointed out during the hearing that it was truly a zoning issue. Now, my husband, he's a Gulf War veteran, and he can't work due to a brain injury he received in service. So we rely on this rental income. We either need to have a roommate living with us, or sometimes we rent our home if we're away on vacation. because we have 3 adult children who don't live with us anymore. But having our rental permit taken away for the past almost 18 months has been very unfair, we believe. And this is why I'm here to ask for your help. After that CBA meeting, we filed a zoning hearing, and it's been 5 months. And Mr. Jerlecki won't schedule it, despite reviewing and receiving and filing and hearing newer applications, some as recent as January of this year. And under Michigan Law 125.3601, we are guaranteed a right to a ZBA hearing if we are denied a permit for zoning reasons. So to make matters more frustrating, we went to the Construction Code Commission, and they affirmed that Michigan state law doesn't even recognize the International Property Maintenance Code, which is the remaining violation we still have on our home. And yet, the violations remain on our record despite clear documentation from the state's highest authority that they're legally invalid, and I sent that decision to the chief inspector, yet he refuses to remove it. I've tried repeatedly to solve this administratively, but I keep hitting dead ends. The city manager could get involved, but it seems that the rules change as time goes on, and there's no clear path without going to court. So what I'm asking from city council is to ensure that our ZBA hearing gets held, because it's been pending since October. We would like to have our rental permits restored based on the construction board's dismissal of the building code violations and the state's confirmation that it was...
Ms. Steele,
Yes.
your time is up, I'm sorry.
All right, well, if you'd like to make a motion for new business, we could discuss it further then. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the audience?
Hi, my name is Nick. I live at 65 13th Street. Similar to the chicken incident as well, not incident, but previous comments, basically talking about potentially quail as well, since they're a more compact version of that, and they are easier to maintain with their noise because they were originally bred for songbirds, so they're easier to kind of have, so they don't have as many noise complaints. They also require only 1 to 3 cubic feet, so Mike, kind of presenting this as a potential way to, if that's too much, another way to help people with the increased costs for eggs and food that has been rising as time is going on. That was all I had.
Okay,
Thank you.
that was good. Thank you. Is there?
Good early evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Kevin Watkins. I'm the Port Huron Branch NAACP President, Wells Township resident. We do a lot of connection here in Port Huron, and I'm a professor at SC4. Just to let you know, I'm a Spartan. My blood is green, but SC4 has been wearing these Michigan colors. So I don't want to get people confused. But I'm just coming up, just to make a brief comment. I want to give special thanks to Councilmember Barbara Payton, who was true to form, showing that the people who put her at that seat, she's representing them. I've been here many years and seen how things are done around, Port Huron and the parks, etc. And I believe people like City Manager Freed and other council members have done things to help equal the balance of the things that are happening over on the south side. But it's always great to have another ally at the table. So, Ms. Councilmember Payton, thank you very much. Your constituents, I'm speaking for them, they thank you for being there. They put you there for a reason, and you're showing them you're taking care of them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian Farquhar, 19th Avenue. I got a whole page of notes here, so I don't know if we're gonna make it the whole 4 minutes. I'm gonna start off with the tax debacle. I know that's been fixed, but at what cost to the taxpayers? I'm not exactly sure what the mailing costs are. I know Mr. Harris gave us a good mailing cost about 8 months ago, and I think it was between $1,800 and $3,000 to mail out to every resident in the city of Port Huron. Postage, paper, ink, the rest of it. So just kind of having a city CPA and a tax assessor division, and then our tax division and the rest. Probably in the future, maybe submit those documents down the line for checks to make sure that decimal points are in the right place to help save us all money in the long run. The other thing is the county meeting, I understand the need for, Mr. Freed went to the county meeting and asked for a piece of property for some development in downtown. I understand the need for housing development. I sympathize with some of the arguments that Mr. Freed made because, as some of you may know, I made the exact same arguments for housing in the city of Port Huron, and I understand the housing shortage. My question is, if I came to you today and said, I have a developer that's gonna buy Kiefer Park out here, and they're gonna give you $1 million for it, probably not gonna sell it to me. It's a $3 million piece of property, waterfront, all day long, even though it's a piece of housing thing. So let's try to make, if we're gonna go around to other communities or to our county or the rest, let's try to give them a fair value for the piece of property. I really feel that they can get more than $250,000 for it, and I don't disagree with their stance to hold on to their campus at that point. The next thing in the paper, I know it came up, and Mr. Freed is kind of looking into it as a possibility. I'm asking you all to steer away from buying that federal building. It only comes with 12 parking spots. Okay? I bank right across the street from right there. It's a pain in the rear to bank in there some days, especially since the parking garage has been closed. I banked with Huntington in case anybody is questioning. It's really difficult to get around in that little corner right there. I would, if we're looking for a place to buy municipality, I would go down and make an offer on the Old Times Herald building, and rather than this. I know it's not for sale, but if we're looking for building, it has parking lot, it has loading docks, it has things that a municipality office would actually need. So let's look for a building that's more retrofitted to that, and we're not gonna have to dump a bunch of money into a historic building that has not enough parking for definitely the people in the room tonight. The next thing is the repairs at 10th and Lapeer. I know Mr. Carl's been in complaining about that for a while. I appreciate the fact that they got done. I don't want to sound like being a negative Nancy, but if we're gonna do them, let's do them right next time. So I drove through there Sunday morning while the repairs were going on. They were just scooping hot asphalt into the holes and driving away, and then it was up to us as the residents to run over the stuff to compact it into the ground. The other thing is it was 33 degrees is what my car read that morning, and there was moisture on the road. I don't know how many of you know much about parking lots paving, not my profession. I know Mr. Mosrak knows a little bit because I had a discussion with an EDC board member about him making great suggestions for parking lot underlayment. But if we're putting hot asphalt on dirty roads that have water and the rest of it in it, it's just gonna pop up, so our temporary's done anyway.
Time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farquhar.
Curtis Carl, Port Huron Township. Yeah, 10th Street, just throwing the asphalt in the hole, it's just not working. I don't know if you guys know what a tamper is. It's a little square weight hole. If I was throwing asphalt in a hole in a parking lot or even out on a road, I'd take a tamper and I'd tamp it down. I'd try to get as level as possible with the surface or just a little bit below so it didn't get ripped out by the plow trucks. These are just temporary fixes. I think a lot of people want to know what the permanent fixes are. We're going to start cutting squares of cement out where we're seeing rebar and all these patches, and are we going to start replacing those sections like they did on Water Street, the Port Huron Township where I pay my taxes? They had MDOT, or no, St. Clair County Road Commission come out and they did everything from, let's say, Speedway to the city limits. So my tax dollars are actually working out in the township. The 0.5% I pay here, I keep reiterating, isn't really doing much. 16th Street's a mess. Water Street's a wreck. I'm waiting for this patch season to be over with so I can get my wife's car checked out. We got a good vibration at about 35 miles an hour. She drives Water Street 4 times a day. I'm not a wealthy fella. I get by. So I got to figure out how much in repairs it's going to take to make this car worthy to go to some out-of-town events. This is on me. I don't think I'm gonna get any reimbursement. Another thing I have a problem with is all these, looking to get grants and all for all these parks and stuff, and then I see, security for Lakeside Beach. I don't think alcohol is allowed at Lakeside Beach. I believe we have a big social district in Port Huron where we seem to have a few issues. Recently, the lady that and her family had gotten assaulted behind the Smoke on the Water. There was something that went on at Sperry's recently. The cameras, if they're there, they're not working when we need them, like the night Josh was murdered. We don't have security downtown in our social district where we're having a lot of problems. We need to own these problems. We have a lot of problems in Port Huron. I'm trying to be as nice as possible and bring this to your attention, but it's getting harder and harder every time I come up here, and it's just the excuses when we have a councilwoman that'll tell us how bad there are some issues within our city, and then the rebuttal that happens after, and then she doesn't get to speak again until the next meeting. It's kind of like what I said about when I come up here, I speak, then somebody else speaks, and then I don't get a rebuttal. And I have to hold on to my words for another 2 weeks. I'm just trying to be a good resident. I'm trying not to get excited. I've been like that in the past, and trying to be a better human. That's all I got for y'all tonight.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else wishing to,
Hi, my name is Jason Majeski. I live over on 15th Avenue, and I'd just like to second or third or whatever about the chickens. I had to get rid of my chickens when I moved into the city. We only had 2, but it offset enough that we didn't have to go and buy eggs, you know what I mean? It was just enough for us to have it. And they weren't very much to keep up. I mean, the waste that they would make could fit into something for like like the yard waste bags, that kind of thing, per weekly, you know what I mean? So it's not like it's a bunch of, and they never really made any noise, as far as it was. And we lived out in the country where there was cars driving by and everything else like that, so. But I would enjoy to have some chickens again, because they're real nice, as far as like calming and stuff like that, they're not, it's like a dog, a support animal, or whatever you want to say, it's really nice to have a little bit of a farm, in with the city, because, that's where we came from at one point, And second of all, I like the guy who was talking about Water Street. I actually haven't driven that street in a while, just because I hate it, in general. But the other day, I got off the freeway, and the freeway states right at the end of it with a nice big green sign, this is the way to SC4. This is our only college, That's what the city, a lot of revenue comes in from the college people coming in. And the only way that you've shown them to get there, pretty much, with your signage, is down a road that you could drive a dump truck down, There's things like this over by, up to like where the ramp is to get the boats on and stuff like that. Again, another revenue maker where people drop their boats to go and go fishing in the area and stuff like that. It doesn't make a lot of money, but, it could fix that road from there to, 10th Street or whatever it is, like he's speaking on. It's just a horrible road. That and Willow Street, I did see something on here about, around the hospital will be getting fixed streetwise, because when I was a child, when I first started driving, that road has not changed. Has not changed. I'm 43 years old now. It's like 18 years later. No one has even put a pothole in that place. You know what I mean? Like, it gets worse and worse and worse, but yet the hospital pays all that. You know what I mean? It's like, why don't we, get the area around it looking a little bit nicer? If you want to go to the park, you're going to break your leg on the way there. You know what I mean? So that's all I have to say.
okay, thank you, sir.
Sandy Schultz, Birchville. As you all know, I'm the mother of Joshua Conant, who was killed on November 4th, 2023 in your social district within the city of Port Huron. I stand in front of you this evening and ask all of you, what have you implemented regarding security efforts within the social district since it started? And since my son was killed, you've extended your social district, as far as the active lounge and more south.
Take your time.
Since the early morning nightmare that my family must endure for the rest of our lives, you need to think about that. As the ordinance that you're going to be approving tonight, which is ordinance 2 and 3 regarding the social district of Port Huron and Lakeside Beach. I received a letter from the former mayor, Pauline Rep, in the fall of '24, prior to the election, and I waited till after the election because I do not want my son to be used as a ploy for election purposes, which you all have a copy in front of you today. Exactly what was given to me by the former mayor. I'm going to read a paragraph publicly so the city of Port Huron is aware of that letter. The city manager is directed to allocate the necessary resources to work with local state representatives and senators in cooperation with the family of Joshua Conant to pursue new legislation in the state of Michigan, which can be referred to as the Joshua Law. Now, I want it to be noted that I originally got up here 18 months ago and asked for that. Pauline Rep did not initiate this on her own. Which, if that is the case, I would like it to be referred to as the Joshua Conant Law, to mandate training for private security guards and licensed law enforcement officers in the state of Michigan on dangers of positional asphyxia. I've included what I feel is minimal requirements for security guards, bouncers, which is also included in the paperwork that I gave you today. And I'm going to read it so the citizens know what I'm asking for. The Joshua Code, I know that you can't develop a law, but you can create an ordinance, and that's what I'm asking for today. The Joshua Conant ordinance in the city of Port Huron regarding security guards and bouncers at bars. Requirements needed for any establishment that employs security guards/bouncers. Background checks, fingerprints, CPR training, and recertification every 2 years. De-escalating training and crowd control. Proper restraining. Once put into place in the city of Port Huron, the city needs to support all efforts to move up to the state level to create the Joshua Conant Law for the state of Michigan. In 2022, in Dallas, a gentleman was killed. His last name is Dallas, so it's called the Dallas Law. That went into effect January 1st, 2023, if you'd like to do some research on it. 11 months before my son was taken from me. It was once said, where there is deep love, there is deep grief. Sincerely, Josh's mom, Sandy Schultz. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to?
Brianna Farquhar, 19th Avenue, 2417, with my mom and dad about the chickens. Ann Arbor allows chickens, and Detroit allows 8 chickens, ducks, and 4 beehives. So why can't Port Huron do it? Furdale, 6 hens with permit. Grand Rapids allows hens with permit, no roosters. Mustin Spot allows hens. And so why can't we just allow chickens? I mean, they can be great support animals and there won't be much complaint of noise. But yeah, so thank you.
Thank you.
Shelby Levante, 2818 Electric Avenue. I also would like to touch base on the chickens. As you can see, we just had a young soul just come up here today. I also have 2 daughters at home. And not only is the eggs production benefit the homes, but it also benefits our children. It gives them opportunities to learn. It gives them opportunities to grow bonds with our parents. Gives them the opportunity to get out of the house, get off those computers, get off those phones, and get back into living life with our families. Raising chickens is no different. It's that first step into a child's life, understanding how it works, where it comes from. And we already teach our children in schools with chickens. We are raising a dozen to six to a dozen in a classroom. Our children bring home permission slips to be allowed to do this. So why can't we do this at home? If we are allowed to raise chickens in a school setting, why can't we raise them in our backyard? Or if our backyards are fenced in, if we have more than 3 square foot, you can have 2 chickens. A chicken is only required to have 1 square foot to be able to have sustainable living. If you are in a free range, you can have a fenced-in yard. Chickens, not only do they benefit the egg production for our community, but in our homes, for families that can't necessarily afford, aren't able to get food stamps, or even WIC assistance. There's a lot of families in Port Huron that don't have that ability. So having chickens at home will help, not just for the egg benefits, but they also help with permaculture. They keep down pests, mosquitoes, flea larvae. A lot of us have dogs, a lot of us have cats. To prevent the pest control, it helps with fertilizing for backyard gardenings, get those children out there into the garden, growing food, bringing food back onto our tables. We've lost sight of that. And the more you move into the city, the more we lose in touch with our community, our world. We're all relying on all these store products. Half of us can't afford them anymore. So why take away the opportunities that we still have, that we have literally built this world from in the first place? You know, so that's what I have to say today.
It's a lot. Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing? Oh. Is there anyone else wishing to address the council in the public hearing? Okay, seeing and hearing none, public hearing is closed. We will now take from the city manager. Clerk, please.
Accepting the unit price bid from Chemtrade Chemicals US LLC in the amount of $607 per dry ton for an estimated 430 dry tons of aluminum sulfate for use at the wastewater treatment plant and water filtration plant.
Is there a motion?
So moved. Support.
So moved by Councilmember Pemberton and supported by Councilmember Moserat.
Madam Mayor?
Discussion? Mayor,
This was removed from your agenda item last time because of the company that was the low bid had it confused between dry and wet, and so we had to verify the next low bidder, and so that's why I was pushed to this one.
Oh, okay. Thank you for catching that. Okay. So it's been properly moved to second, and discussion time. We heard from the city manager. Any more questions or anything? Okay. So hearing none, clerk?
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Payton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. And from item under number 2 from the city manager, he has prepared a PowerPoint, so oh, you're on.
Good evening. About a year and a half, 2 years ago, during a goal-setting session, we declared that the Erie Street corridor, the healthcare and college district, central part of the city, was going to be a focus area for the city of Port Huron for the next couple of years. When you say that, you really don't know what that means for the residents. And so today, after several years of planning, we're ready to take action, and I want to go through what that action is. It's going to be one of the largest investments, I believe, in the city in the last decade. Is really going to help transform that corridor. And it's critically important because it's between McLaren, one of our largest employers, and SC4, which I think is the crown jewel of Port Huron as our college campus. So the section I'm talking about is the center section of the city from Washington to the Black River, between 10th and Erie Street. That's what we refer to as that district. First up, the Lincoln Lofts development on the corner of Lincoln and Erie. It's right across from McLaren. It's where they staged all their building materials when they built the tower there. We have been awarded $16.5 million in tax credit funding. So this project has been funded, and the project will break ground this fall. The total project is 16 million. It's 40 units. 37 of those units are new construction, 19 one-bedroom apartments, 18 two-bedroom apartments. What's really interesting is we bought a home on Erie Street for $60,000 3 years ago with the long-term plan of onboarding more housing. The developer is purchasing that home from the city of Port Huron and is rehabbing that into a single-family home as well. The exciting thing about this development as well is on the corner of Rollins and Erie Street is a mixed-use commercial building. It's a cute little brick building there. They're going to redo 2 units on the second floor, and they're going to make a commercial space on the first floor. They're hoping like a coffee shop or something that can cater to the college kids, which would be really nice. It'll be walkable between the school and the college. And so that commercial building is going to be renovated and rehabilitated as well as part of this project. 14 units will be permanent supportive housing, which will have wraparound services to help those who struggle with housing insecurity. Just let this sink in for a moment. In the city of Port Huron, in Port Huron schools, we have 147 kids who are considered McKinley-Bento students. It's a federal law addressing homelessness and students and access to equal education. 147 students have housing insecurity. 14 children that we know of are living in hotels today. 8 walk to school, 6 get to ride the bus. I couldn't imagine raising my kids in a hotel room because I didn't have access to housing. It is a crisis. This is a human need and it has a human toll on our community. And so we're going to work like hell to get more and more housing units. And I make no apologies for my proposal to the county commission. It was a moonshot, it was a last minute deal, and I'll never apologize for taking a swing at the bat to make sure these kids have a home. And I do hope that the county sees the same challenge as well. Commercial and retail development. So it's going to be exciting. $16 million is really going to change that corner. That corridor is going to be very, very exciting. That's a rendering of what the building will look like there. It's going to be really nice. It's already gone through site plan review, so we're ready to break ground. Fix the damn roads, says Governor Whitmer. And apparently everyone here tonight, and we agree. Eric Witter is our public works director, and we were talking this past week, and he said, it's getting scary, the amount of needs we have and the lack of funding. Everything they say is true, but we can only do what we can afford. And so we need to work with the state government to get a real funding solution for roads. The issue is that any proposal that's come out of Lansing in the last couple of years, Republican or Democrat, doesn't matter who, the funding is only for MDOT roads. It doesn't address local roads. So the gas tax get raised, it doesn't mean more road funding for the city of Port Huron. And so whatever solution they find for roads, it needs to be holistic and actually touches the communities. So tonight we're going to talk about the roads. Project need. Kearney, Willow Street, they are some of the worst cities in the city. More concerning is the water lines are from the 1890s, some of the oldest water lines within the city. When we did the CSO work, this section of the city was untouched. These roads did not need to have sewer separated, but so the utilities and the streets didn't get redone. And the sidewalks are impassable. We want to be a walking community. So the project scope is $4.1 million of work, installation of new water and sewer lines, replacement of any lead service lines. We're going to go through, and any home that's getting serviced by a lead service line, we're going to switch it out at no cost to the homeowners. Complete reconstruction of the roads. So when you get the water, sewer, and the lines replaced, we're going to put new sub-base in and reconstruct the entire roadway and the sidewalks. We're also going to look at replacing trees that we have to retake. If we take down any trees, to put new tree canopy up. We're also going to partner with SC4 to remove Stone Street from Glenwood to River Street, which is no longer needed because the fire station's not there. River Street can handle the load. We're going to create better connectivity between the hospital and the college. And why is that important? Because 80% of the nurses that work at McLaren are SC4 alumni. SC4 is a job trainer for people that have good paying jobs here in the city. Total investment of this project is going to be $4.1 million. It's going to start this spring. And here it gives you the list of roads. Now you can see between Elk and Willow to reconstruct those roads, have better walkways, better pedestrian-friendly walkways, brand new infrastructure. You're really going to connect the McLaren campus and the SC4 campus. Why is that important? Because when you're going through your clinicals at SC4, you have to actually do it at a medical facility. So the kids can walk from their classes. Shouldn't say kids, we have a lot of adult learners out there. A good chunk of SC4 is adult learners. Very important. So you can go to class and walk to your clinicals in a safe, vibrant street. And you see the removal of Stone Street there. Partnership with SC4, we're going to remove Stone Street, which will increase student safety and pedestrian safety within the campus. We will retain a utility easement. We do have water and sewer lines that are there. It'll also provide more natural green space. And SC4 is contributing $50,000 to this project, and they did not have to do that. So this is $50,000 that they are not legally required to contribute, that they are willing to partner with us on. We had a meeting with SC4, Mayor Ashford and I did. They're going through their master plan. And Mayor Ashford and I were able to meet with SC4 and their consultants to talk about how the city can partner with SC4 in the future to really to leverage that asset to its fullest potential. And there you see. Now, if you like that graphic, I did that myself. So no graphics designer there. I put that green box for myself to show you. I was impressed with myself. So I did that graphic myself. Tax dollars hard at work. So it will produce some really nice, more green space there as well. The community college will have to move some of their fire connection, their fire suppression connections on the building to accommodate it, but that will allow us to still maintain fire safety and access for the fire department while providing that enhancement to the college. Which also means we don't have to pay to put the road back in, so that was kind of really worked out well for both of us, because that road's also in really bad shape and limited funds. The fire station will be coming down in May or June, by the way. So you see here just the level of investment in the next 12 months. You see the blue building, that will be the new Lincoln Lofts. You see the little small blue dot just below it on Rollins, and that will be the commercial corridor, hopefully a coffee shop or something for the students, with 2 developments. And in between there, which is, I didn't have to put the blue box there, but it was also the home that we purchased. So we were able to assemble some of those lots. Total investment is going to be $20.6 million in that district in the next 12 months. That's a huge investment in infrastructure and housing, and really bringing in a nice little boutique commercial use there as well. So I think it's important when we look at why we're doing the roads, that's part of the broader picture of when we say we want to focus on that corridor. One of the things that the mayor and I spoke with SC4 about was the Erie Street corridor as well, some pedestrian safety issues at Erie and Glenwood, and then also Erie and McMorran that we're going to work with the college on to maybe do a roundabout or do some hawk crossing or something to enhance that there. So we're looking at partnering with SC4 for a SEMCOG grant for traffic safety. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so we've got an overview, so now we need a motion on. I'm getting to that. Okay. Yeah, you heard the overview of that, and I'm going to have the clerk read that, after which you will have a motion and follow the procedures.
Accepting the bid from Raymond Excavating Company in the amount of $4,145,330 for the hospital area road reconstruction and utility replacement Phase 1 project.
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
So moved by Councilmember Lamb, and a second
Support.
by Councilmember Mosherat. Any discussion?
Madam Mayor.
Councilmember?
Like I said, if this is the correct part to talk about this, so you talked about the roads as a whole. We heard comments earlier. So basically, like you're saying, the state funding covers just the MDOT roads, right? So that leaves then the city streets for us to take care of. Mm-hmm. You're laid out the, let's say, permanent upgrades that we're looking to do. As far as kind of what would be next on our target list, in other words, what I'm trying to bridge the gap, we get sent notifications this road, is in bad shape, and that it goes, well, we'll get it on the list for the fix, but a lot of them's probably a temporary fix and not long-term. So can we just talk about what would be next on some of the target lists, and / do we have, in our dream world, if we had $1 billion, like what it would cost to repave all of the, troubled areas? I just want to get some context on that.
So the next target areas is, of course, Lapeer. We've received a grant to help redo Lapeer, I think from 24th to 16th, is that correct? 24th to 16th. We already held a public engagement section, a session on the complete reconstruction of that. In the budget I will bring you this May, there will be money from the Water Street TIF, which is our tax increment financing, to do some plate replacement along 10th which is like, we call them the concrete squares, to do some repairs and replacement along 10th as well. I sent an email to council on Sunday. I authorized the crews to go out on the weekend to begin filling potholes. This has been a slow thaw, which is really bad for the roads. And so it will be 10th and Lapeer in the next 12 months. But again, the filling the potholes, the cold patch, it is specially designed to go in the poles, and it's not perfect. I drove over about 10 minutes after they got done, and it was all over my car as well. So they're doing the best they can. We have limited crews. I will tell folks, it is the most dangerous job in the city is working on the road crews. It is one of the most dangerous jobs, and so we really want people to slow down. These guys are not getting rich. Guys and gals are not getting rich, and I just if we can't pay them a lot, we can at least make sure they get home to their families at night. So we've had a lot of near misses out there, so please be very aware of those workers out there.
Thank you, and I guess my next question, just so we get our heads around it, is there somewhere that lives, like you mentioned some of the ages of
Yes.
these roads? I'm sure the information's there somewhere, but just to kind of, if we had a visual of the city of, here's where the oldest roads are located, here's the new one, and I know that's what you're factoring in your permanent replacing and stuff, because there's many factors. One, it can't only maybe be the oldest, but economic areas, et cetera, as we make those decisions. But if there's somewhere where that lives as far as, so we can get an idea of, some of the oldest roads or.
Yep, you can go today to porthuron.org/open government, and our PACER rating system of all the streets in the city is on there. We actually go through and rate the roads, and there's a whole rubric how we rate the roads, and it's pretty simple, red, green, yellow, just like you would think. It's a very simple document to look at, and you can visually see where the worst roads are in the city, where the best roads are in the city. And one of the things we take into a lot of account is also the infrastructure, water and sewer. Someone has mentioned between the section of 24th Street that we didn't do. That's because it's going to be completely reconstructed next year because the water and sewer lines are very, very old and need to be replaced. And so we're not going to spend $500,000 on asphalt when the water and sewer lines have to be replaced. In 2015, the state of Michigan passed a law called the Complete Streets Law, which makes us look at the infrastructure underneath before we replace a road. And so a lot of people say, well, why'd you skip over this road? Well, because we didn't have the money to do the water and sewer underneath it until next year or the year after that. One of the things as well is we have to put a lot more emphasis on asset management, which is like crack sealing and chip sealing. So when you have a road that's good and it starts to go bad, you may have a road that's good for this long, and then all of a sudden it starts to go bad really fast. And the reason for that is once you start to crack, you get the freeze and thaw, all the water in it. And so a good road, once it deteriorates very rapidly. And so things like crack sealing and chip sealing can prolong a good road for 3 to 5 years. And so if you see in the springtime, you'll see a lot of our crews out there doing crack sealing, and that is to protect the assets we have, because we don't have $1 billion to replace all of our infrastructure. So we need to put a very intentional effort on asset management and assets protection.
Thank you. I appreciate the clarification, and for us to look at and the public to basically say on some of these, it's not just the surface we're looking at. There's multiple layers. There's a story behind it, and just give them more context to that. So,
Madam Mayor, if I could.
Yes.
One of the things that's really well is we spend a lot of money on sewer separation. A lot of money. You all know it in your monthly bill. A lot of money. But during that, we got a lot of roads redone. Those roads are at a critical point where we need to do asset management. And so you see a lot of mill fill. So we did a bunch of mill fill, I think 3 or 4 miles last year. We got it scheduled for this year as well. We are intentionally going back to protect those roads so we can make them last as long as possible. So we have a good start because of the sewer separation project. Now we got to really focus heavy on asset management for those roads as well, so we don't lose the ground we've gained.
Thank you.
Okay, and James, also, we have the PACER that we do where we categorize the bad, the worst. Do we follow a pattern?
Oh yeah, we
do follow that?
Yep, we constantly look at that for our capital plan, and we overlay that as well with our water and sewer capital improvement plans. So they're all, when we have a capital improvement plan, it's not like water and sewer and streets all have their different directions. We're trying to be a cohesive effort that those 3 departments are working together.
Okay, and then to counter the point that MDOT only do their roads, those are the state roads, so that belongs to them. So how we counter, most of our revenue will have to come from the taxpayers, is that the?
So it's Act 51 is the disbursement of the gas tax.
Mm-hmm.
So your gas tax goes to a disbursement through a formula through what's called Act 51. Mm-hmm. And the allotment is based on major and local streets, and it's kind of simple. You can think of a major street, gets a certain level of funding. I want to say it's like 17, 18 grand a mile. And then local streets get much less. But we also have our local roads millage, which is helping us fund the mill and fill and all the things, all the projects we're doing right now. So the taxpayers, when you voted for that millage, that's what's going to replace these roads.
Okay, so all what we're experiencing now must not be enough money in there to cover all that. What's
Correct.
happening now.
Yep, but we're making some pretty good grounds. If you look at the replacement of Gratiot, if you look at some of we've done a lot of reconstruction the last couple of years.
Okay. Well, can you or either Eric speak to the potholes? I mean,
Yeah.
they're filling them and then all of a sudden the hole
Eric, you want
is
to talk about a
filled.
pothole?
Yeah, let us know what we're putting in them.
Good evening, Mayor, City
Good evening.
Council. You would like me to speak about potholes?
Potholes, yeah,
So it's been a challenging winter, as many of you know. We maintain about 132 miles of roadway being local and major roadways. We had spoken, you guys had discussed the different conditions of pavement. So with the freeze and thaw and all the water, that causes, the material that we put in that come out. And then snow plowing events would take that material out. So it's been a challenging winter. We have gotten a lot of, calls on the 10th Avenue Lapeer intersection. So those are things that we're constantly looking at. As James spoke, we're looking at doing panel replacements in a section of 10th Avenue, or 10th Street coming up. So it's routine maintenance, but it's been a challenging winter.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, that answered, because you hear that a lot, just like I'm thankful that you did, James, okay, that overtime, because people, that was the number one thing I kept getting calls about or whatever, about the potholes. So I just didn't know, she said, they would fill it and she'd go back down the same street and it's still the same hole, so I didn't know what to tell her, so.
I think that all depends on what the conditions were with the,
Previous.
sunny days.
Yeah.
Then some of it that was frozen, starts to thaw, you get the water, you get the traffic over top of it, pumps the material out, and then it'll freeze, and then you get a snow plow, and that'll take just all the material that you put in, so.
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Eric, can you speak to the timeline of Water Street? I know we conducted a site visit with Brent out there a couple months ago about some of the repairs, possible repairs of Water Street.
So we are looking, and maybe to back up a little bit, the 132 miles of roadway that we do maintain, we get roughly 2.2 million a year in Act 51 in the street millage. So if you do the math, the amount of miles of road we have versus what we get per year, that is a challenge. So we always try to maximize our dollars by grants, some other federal funding, like James spoke about Lapeer. So we are looking at Water Street from 10th to 13th, some possible safety improvement grants to try to offset the costs that we have. So when they did Water Street from 13th to city limits, there was not enough money to do from 13th to 10th. So we've been looking at it, it's been on the radar, it's just one of those things, try to maximize the money that we can spend. We've done mill and resurfaces to try to capture those pavements that were getting around 20 years old. But water at 10th to 13th is also in poor condition and heavily traveled by many.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I have a question for
Councilor.
Eric. Let's just say you said 132 miles of road, and we don't have to replace everything underneath. How far does 2 million roughly get us? Or I'm just trying to put into context,
So-
if we have 132, what does that get us a year?
In today's world and the bids we've been getting, you get about a mile for $2 million for a complete reconstruct. So as the hospital area phase 1 that James presented on, that's about 2 miles of roadway. So there's obviously utility work and everything else, but with the utility work and the roadway improvement of $4.2 million, it's touching utilities under a half a mile roadway and replacing a half a mile roadway.
Jeez. Okay, any more questions of Eric? Okay. Thank
No
you.
more questions, Madam Mayor, if you got just a comment. Is, like I said before, I think a lot of us get a lot of texts and feedback, and I'd just say continue to do it, because every time I send it to Eric and James, they're like, okay, we'll make sure it's on the list, and a lot of times it's already on the list. But let's just keep doing that, do the best we can temporarily, but also what he just said right there. Realize that in 1 year we can only replace a mile without future grants, etc. So all of us would like to have every rate all brand new, but realistically, it's 1 year until we figure out some other financial income to do it.
Sure, and the public's welcome to call our office, they do, and we take the complaint, and we send crews out to investigate if there are potholes that are being reported.
Folks, if you find a big pothole, you can go on the City of Port Huron's website, and there's a citizens response team that you can just click on, and you can literally text or email a photo in, and we send it right to the road crew. And that's how, because these things pop up, and we don't want anyone getting their vehicle damaged. So if you see a big pothole, if you have time, take a picture of it or where it's at, and send it in, and we'll get a crew out there immediately.
And I think that site is for not only potholes, any other
Yep.
issues you may have. You could just go on the response and put it in there and you get it to the necessary people, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks for all that you do and your team. Okay. Well, did we get a second? We're going to vote? Okay. Call for the vote?
Yep.
Okay, we'll call for the vote.
Councilmember Peyton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. From the city manager, number 3.
Receive and file the quarterly financial report for the six-month period ending December 31st, 2024.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald, supported by Councilmember Mosrak. Any discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
just that we're on budget. The budget's tracking very nicely.
That's very nice. Still close, okay.
Yep.
Still close. Okay.
Still close.
All right, just want to make sure. Okay. So, okay, any more conversation? Okay, hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Peyton?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. Resolutions, number 1.
Authorizing 19 payments.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved by
Support.
Mayor Pro Tem and supported by Councilmember Lamb. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Peyton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. Resolution number 2.
Approving the agreement with Premier Security Solutions to provide security guard services to Lakeside Beach for the 2025 summer season.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by by Mayor Pro Tem Archibald,
Support?
supported by Councilmember Mosrak.
Madam Mayor.
Oh, yes.
With this agreement, this is the same agreement that we did for the last couple of years at the beach. Pro Tem Archibald actually emailed me some questions, so I want to kind of publicly answer those questions as well here. Why are we doing this? It's because we can't get enough police officers in the summertime because they're also taking vacations and out with their families. And before we did this, we were actually having to do ordering in mandatory overtime. So imagine you're a police officer and you're out with your family on the weekend and you get ordered in for beach patrol. And so this is actually a cost savings from paying officers overtime. It's actually cheaper to do this. We do not allow alcohol at our parks. That is why we need security there. You can't ask a high school or college kid to go tell a group of guys to get their booze off premise. It takes somebody with a little bit more, little teeth to them. And so we do have security there to ensure that the rules are followed. They are also there for the protection of the people. When you have a gathering of thousands and thousands of people, it's a soft target. And so they are armed guards to protect those people as well, to make sure nothing happens.
I'm sorry, did we have them last year?
Yes, yep,
Yeah,
we sure
okay.
did. We
Is
have-
there any more?
Same as what we did
more
last year, same price, same everything.
Okay.
And we've had them for 3 years, and they've really done an excellent job.
Oh, okay.
And they work very well with our police department. So when need be, if they need to call an officer in, they do.
Great, oh, okay. All right, any more discussion or anything? Okay, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Peyton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. Resolution number 3.
Authorizing the submission of a special liquor license application to the Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs Liquor Control Commission for the City of Port Huron's Blue Water Fest event from Thursday, July 10th through Saturday, July 12th, 2025 at the South McMorran parking lot and recommending the license be issued.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved by Councilmember Pemberton and second by
Support.
Mayor Pro Tem Archibald.
Madam Mayor, if I could. If you remember, if you go to Blue Water Fest, go back for all those who live here, imagine Blue Water Fest 4 or 5 years ago, you used to see beer tents and beer sales throughout the downtown that the Blue Water Festival would actually put on their own beer tents. And that money was used to raise to help support the festival. We no longer do that, so all that business can flow to the restaurants and the bars downtown. So there is no beer tents run by the Festivals Committee in the footprint anymore. This is only for the concert venue, which is a ticketed event. So I can't have people coming and leaving and going the ticketed event. And so this is only for the concert venue, and all the other tents have been eliminated because the businesses are able to sell directly now.
Any more discussion or questions on it? So this is really just contained
Yep.
in that one spot instead of being sporadic. We got a more focused view. Okay.
And candidly, this generates probably, I think, around $30,000 a year, and that's what funds the stage and the concert itself, and without it, it would never make sense.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, no more discussion. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Lamb?
Yes.
Councilmember Mosrak?
Yes.
Councilmember Payton?
Yes.
Councilmember Pemberton?
Yes.
Councilmember Archibald?
Yes.
Councilmember Haremza?
Yes.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes. Ladies and ladies and gentlemen, this does officially end our council meeting, but we do have an announcement, and I'd like to take up some directions on Mrs. Schultz that she brought before us, but let me read the announcement first before we go into that. The City of Port Huron will be holding 2 public forums to discuss neighborhood and housing goals as part of the process to update the city's master plan. They will be held on Tuesday, March the 11th, from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Garfield School Library, 1221 Garfield Street, and on Tuesday, March the 18th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Elger Harvey Reinvestment Center. And I would just like to note, March the 18th, I think, I don't know, a number of us will be in Lansing at that time, so I won't be present. So I'll be MIA, missing in action. But we will get follow-up from that, from the ones that's gone. So now I want to address the ordinance proposed coming from Sandy Schultz.
Mr. Shouty, based on the power of the city charter and granted to me, I hereby direct you to draft an ordinance with the language laid out by Mrs. Conant, and have that language brought to the council as soon as possible.
Okay.
And I also further ask you to draft bill text for a state law that I can take to the state legislature so that this never happens again in our state.
Thank you. And just for protocol reasons and make sure we're legally right in our path we're taking here, we didn't need a resolution from the city to direct the manager to do that? I just want to make sure it sticks. Excuse me, let him take care of this first.
Yeah, so, yes, I can take a direction from the city manager. You could pass a resolution to that effect as well. The resolution that was presented, that was attached to this, is something you could add to the next agenda if you wanted to. You
Oh,
can
okay,
add it
that'll
to
be
this agenda if you want as well by the normal procedure of amending your agenda. So you'd have to have a vote of a plurality of the city council to amend your agenda, and then you could actually do the resolution at any time.
Oh, okay, yeah, and I think I'll take
But
that
as far as
advice.
the-
Yeah,
As
because
far as the state law and the ordinance, we do have procedures, so that would have to be drafted in a form different than it was presented tonight.
Right, yeah, and I recognize that. So I just want to make sure the whole council, because we live with it, and we certainly share in with the Schultz family on this. So this would be one display. It's not just about the city manager, but it is about the entire city council along with the city manager.
Mayor Ashford?
Yes?
Todd, is there a point of a resolution if we're going to do an ordinance? Because the ordinance obviously carries a lot more weight and is much more powerful.
I think they do very similar things,
Okay.
but I think there is some additional things in the resolution different than would be in an ordinance.
So your recommendation would be to do both?
I'm
Not your,
I'm
you're
not
not,
going to recommend you do one way or another, but
No.
just from a legal standpoint, they are
Right.
two different.
Okay.
There are some overlap, but, and they're trying to address a similar issue,
Mm-hmm.
but there are things that are different in each.
okay, perfect, thank you. We can do both.
And Tom, wait just a minute. And Tom, maybe I can speak to that too. The one that is in Texas, Dallas, the guy, I did a lot of work on that too. And they are working on the same thing. When we have an ordinance, that's just to what we could do here as far as the law is concerned. But what they're even doing there, they're still fighting for their top echelon for him to get it as a state, to go across the state. And so what James has proposed is that he wants to take that and lobby up
understand
there
all
to
that.
get that. Yeah, I know you understand, but maybe somebody else doesn't.
Thank you.
But so that's what you want to do. You want to get as great as impact, but you want to have the right people trying to push it up. So it'll be a holistic. So that, we'll work towards that. Thank you.
Madam Mayor and
Yes.
Council, we will get this to you as soon as possible. And when the legislation is drafted, I will have a meeting with our legislative delegation, and I'll invite the family as well to be there to present it to them.
Good. And
Mayor
then-
Ashford, one more thing. Excuse me, if we could ask the family to probably just get with you on this, if we're going to put a resolution out, this one that was submitted by Mayor Rep, if that meets what they're looking for, or if she wanted any changes other than the name of the law.
Oh,
I'm assuming we can leave that between the two of you, and then it can be brought back to us
Okay.
as we want it passed.
Yeah, well, that work with both of us,
Yes.
James and I, in council with the Corporation Council.
Thank you.
Does that sound about right? Oh, all right. So, I have to cross my Ts up here. All right, so, and then we had another concern that brought to us, and this is about the Black River, the flooding. They're not getting, the gates are not open, and the water, there's no water coming through there.
No, we're not within floodwaters at all.
A big part?
The Black River is not within flood stage at all. We're doing just fine in the Black River right now.
You're doing fine?
Yeah, it's all good.
Okay. It is okay, it was just froze, okay.
We do have should it get to a flood stage, the two removable gates at the coffer dam can be pulled within, I think, 6 hour notice? 6 hour notice.
Oh, okay. No, I just got that today.
Yep, and
Okay.
for the public, we monitor ice flow. We sent our fire chief, literally went through the woods at Beard Hills to videotape the river and monitors all the way from Jetto. We have a float in Jetto that tells us flood stage, so we start to monitor it in Jetto, and we know that gives us about 4 or 5 hours of what's going on in Jetto, all the way down. So the fire chief himself walked the riverbed and documented the ice breakup and the ice flow, making sure there's no ice jams upriver, and he monitors that all the time. So there's a lot of eyes on it, and we're leaving our jurisdiction to see what's coming, just to make sure.
Okay, good. Thanks, James.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Just kind of one comment. I'm not an expert in Port Huron history, but I think that might have been the first time we had 3 generations on public comment. So I'd like to say, great job for that. Well done by all. And then, yes, as far as the ties in with the river cleanup, as far as, I think it was a great community event last year, and I will get with you and we'll start nailing down the date so we can get even more people this year. So, thank you.
Yeah, That was a great job that you guys did, and that's what we're all about. We all just need to come together, as one. And so, just reading over the minutes from last meeting, people are worried about, are we gonna work together or anything? You know what? Nothing is ever gonna put nothing between me and what the job we're supposed to do. And I'm sure, City Manager Free feels probably the same way in a discussion had with him earlier this week or whatever. But still, I'm gonna be transparent, accountable, and show leadership. So that doesn't dispense any of that. Now, we have to do what we need to do because you actually elect us and you are our bosses. So, yep, clap to that, because you are the bosses. So, just like I've always said, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but, we just need to get over a lot of things that don't belong here. We just need to stay focused. And Vicki, I love you. So, and Brianna, I am so proud of you, because you know what? Somewhere it says a child should lead the way, and you know what? And you don't want to see us all broken to pieces, so anyway.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
One last thing. I have had several council members reach out to me, so I did direct the city attorney last Tuesday or Wednesday to begin draft language for a possible chicken ordinance.
A chicken ordinance? I guess I better go try to find me some chickens. All right. Yeah, I got some dogs next door.
Mayor Asher, before we do that, I'm going to piggyback on that, and I would like to say thank you to Rachel Farquhar for all the work and effort she put in and everything that you send to all of us and the details of the different cities. I mean, you basically wrote the ordinance already. We'll just perfect it. So thank you for all the effort. Appreciate it.
And I'd like to thank the Schultz family for something happening a long time overdue. So I'd like to thank you. It's not even enough, but it's something. It's, better than where we were. So we moved that envelope a little notch. So just, hang there. It's because it's not something that, that's just going to go away a month or 2 months or a year or whatever. It's still there, and we can't even imagine what you feel, and I'm not going to try to tell you because it's you that has to live through it, you and your family. So, so with that, I hear a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Second. Have a nice